Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's GreenTools discussion. This is the first discussion in a new monthly series from the Carlisle Tool Library. And you're here with Sarah Markowitz, that's me. I'm one of the board members of the Carlisle Tool Library, and we are very lucky to have Hans Pfister today with us. He is a professor at Dickinson College, and he is also a member of the Carlisle Climate Action Commission on the community engagement team. So today's discussion will be on renewable energy and also on home energy efficiency and how increasing home energy efficiency can save you some money. And just one more quick word about the series. Do keep an eye out for GreenTools in the future. Again, that will be a series specifically on eco-friendly methods and tools. So without much further ado, I'm going to pass it over to Professor Pfister.
Okay, welcome everyone. I'm Professor Pfister. I have been a professor at Dickinson now for 30 years. And for like these first 15 years, I used to do plasma physics. And I built stuff like a plasma thruster to propel satellites and interplanetary devices. But who needs a plasma thruster? For the past 15 years, I've done something that's much more useful. I invent solar collectors and play with renewable energy equipment around the house and everywhere else. So when I go to a talk, especially on a Friday evening, I'm always wondering, what am I going to get out of this? Will it be worth my time? I'm spending here an hour with this fellow. So I thought, I will make it worth your while. And how about if I could save you $100? And so I can't see you. I don't see your faces. This is very different from the normal Zoom talk. I was expecting to see your faces so you could raise your hand and say yes or no. So I will have to anticipate your comments. So if some of you would just keep track of the money that I'm going to save you here, we are going to start. I'm going to share my screen here. Okay. And you see here, I have a couple pictures here. These are things we're going to touch on. Actions that will save money. And before we start, let me ask you a question. To reduce your carbon footprint or your carbon emission, will it cost money? Will it cost money or will it save money? So I have a question here. Will it cost money? And I was anticipating to see your faces so I can see if you raise your hand one way or the other. Will it cost you money? That's usually the common thought. It'll cost you money. But a few years ago, so remember, no matter what you said is yes. The answer is yes, you are correct. In some cases, and I always like it when my students are all correct, no matter what they answer. You are correct. In some cases, doing things that will cut carbon emission will save you money, and here are a few examples. And in some cases, reducing carbon emission, it'll cost some extra money. So for today, I already told you I would like to save you money. Let's look at things that will save money. Why should we not do those things? So I picked 7 items here, 7 things that you can do with a few tools that will save you money and reduce your carbon footprint and help save planet Earth. Okay, so I know you guys are now writing down how much money it will save. Most of these items will take some tools, as you'll see shortly, but here is an item that will not take tools, well, except it will take either a computer or tablet or just a phone. Cell phone, smartphone, any phone will do. And that is switching to wind energy. Okay, so Item 1, item 2, we'll talk about lighting, we'll talk about thermal storage, an e-bike, some weatherization, something I've done this past summer with my air conditioner, and finally, my baby here, number 7, that is my solar air heater on the roof of the science building. Okay, so how to switch to wind energy. Many people do not know that at this moment, wind energy is far cheaper, way cheaper than it's ever been since we built the first wind turbine. It is so incredibly cheap that I cannot help me but tell you about. So what you do, and at the end of this talk, since this is a live presentation, I'd like to take you actually to the website and walk you through the steps. So I'll go through it very briefly now, but at the end of this presentation, we can do it in real time. Okay, so you go to this website called papowerswitch.com here on the top left. Don't Google it, but type this into the menu bar at the top in your browser. And then you get this screen, freshly photographed here today. So you enter your zip code 17013 and hit the go button. Then you get a screen where you got to make a choice. In your zip code area, we have choices of Med-Ed or PP&L. You click there. Then you say, I want to see the full results. Click there. That's our third click. And then you get this screen. My zip code is 17015. My monthly usage, that's in the summer right now, probably about 3,000. Prices, sort by. I don't care about alphabetic or anything. I want low to high. And here is the most important click, and that is here where it says fixed price. Do not even get anywhere near a variable price. These are the horror stories that you hear. Fixed price. So this is the most important click. And one more that didn't fit my screen here on the bottom, renewable energy. So today I updated my numbers. Med-Ed, as of this morning, charges 6.17 cents for a kilowatt hour. And for my consumption, this would be $185.22. Clean Sky Energy, I just started a new contract, and this happens to be my provider of 100% renewable energy. I'm not married to Clean Sky Energy. I change often. So I only have a 3-month contract. So in 3 months, I'll be switching again. But look at the price, 3.49 cents per kilowatt hour. That makes my electric bill $104.70. So the savings is, let's roughly 185, 104, $81 a month. Okay, so for those of you that keep score, can you write down $81? Oh, we're getting close to our 100 already. And this is just 1 month. And so if this is your average, you'll save $81 every month, unless your bill is half as much as mine. But I have no coal, gas, and other fuels. So I do everything with electricity. And that's why my electric bill is a little higher. Okay, in case your supplier, your electricity is supplied by PP&L, let's look at the numbers. PP&L is, it's a little higher, 7.3 cents per kilowatt hour. That would put my bill, if I had PP&L, at $219.51. Now, this company came up today. Last time, the Blue Sky Energy came up as number 1. This week, it's Next Era Energy at 4.2 cents per kilowatt hours. That puts the bill at 128. So 128 to 219, that's $91 a month. So for those of you that have PP&L, you can write down now $91 a month. Okay. All right. Everyone's keeping track of the money that I'm saving you? Yes, great. Okay, let's move on. I would like to do this with you in real time on the real website so you can see how that looks in real life. Okay. Number 2, we're going to switch some light bulbs to LEDs, and maybe you could just switch one light bulb. How about 2? Let's say 2. You're going to switch 2? You're going to switch 3? Okay. Let's say 2. You're going to switch 2 incandescent light bulbs to LEDs. Now, you see that word over here, dinosaur. Incandescent light bulbs are like dinosaurs. And when you look at them, there you have the filament inside. That filament makes a lot of heat. 90% of the energy that you put in here turns into heat. Only 10% turns out as light, right? So this device here is really a good way to make heat, but not such a good device to make light. Only 10%. Yeah, I don't care about the heat. I want the room illuminated. So only 10% is really useful for me. On the other hand, now we're going to 21st century technology to an LED. An LED is born to make light. And here the numbers are, it makes a little bit of heat. There's a circuit down in here that produces a little heat, but about only 10%, which means 90% of the energy that goes in here comes back out as light. So it's a device born to make light. Now, I recently checked the cost of LEDs. They used to have them at the dollar store 3 for $1. I couldn't believe it. I asked the cashier and he said, hey, this is the dollar store, everything's $1. They don't have it anymore. So they had these double packs, 2 LEDs for $1. And now sometimes you even find it for $1. But what's the saving? When you replace one incandescent bulb with an LED, if we had more time today, we would do the calculation. I have my students do the calculation from square one, and it turns out 100 watt LED, 100 watt equivalent LED using only around 10, 11, 12, 13 watts will save over its lifetime about $150 in electricity. So you agreed to switch to incandescents for LEDs. That would mean the saving is $300. Wait, minus the cost of the light bulb. Let's say they're $1. So we have $298. So let's add to the list $298 saved over the course of the lifetime. But there's one thing that's even better than that. I mean, I'm all for saving, and I'm happy to save $150 for electricity, and I'm very happy that you're going to save $150 for that light bulb. We're not even talking about that you only have to replace it 1/10 as often as a regular light bulb, so the chance of falling off a ladder is also 1/10 because you're going up that ladder only 1/10 as often. But the really fantastic part is that this LED over its lifetime will reduce CO2 emission by about, and this is just a sheer amazing number. My students calculated again, and we calculated again and recalculated to really make sure we got these numbers right. It turns out it's about 1,500 pounds, 1,500 pounds. So my first car was a Black Forest Green Volkswagen, just like this one, weighing just about that. So the amount of CO2, think about it, CO2 is a gas, right? It's very light. But over the course of the light bulb, the emission that's saved is comparable to the weight of a small car. And that is the great news. Okay, let's move on to number 3. So about 15 years ago, I built a sunroom in the back of the house. Here is a picture on the left here. And most of the time, the temperature is just fine, perfect. The sun shines, well, if the sun shines, it's a bit too warm. And then in the evening, it gets a bit too cold. So here's the story. My youngest son, when he was junior in high school, so he's in the sunroom, and it's like 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and he said, "Dad, it's too warm in here. Can you open turn on the air conditioner, open a window?" And I thought, well, if I open the window, I let all this heat out. Well, so I open a window. 7 o'clock, 7:30, 8 o'clock. There's Michael again. "Dad, it's too cold in here." And my first response was, "Michael, put on a sweater. And can we turn on the heat?" And in exactly that moment it happened. I was standing about right here in the sunroom, and I thought, well, just a few hours ago, we let this excess heat out the window, and now we need it again. Boy, I wish I had a box where I could put that extra heat in that we let out the window. And then in the evening, I just open my box and all that extra heat comes back out. Well, guess what? I have that box now, and I want to show you how you can make that box. So here is that graph. Here's the temperature. My favorite temperature is 71 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, so in the morning, this orange bar here is my perfect temperature, but that's not the reality in that sunroom. See, the temperature climbs up, and then it gets really warm in here, and it's just a little too warm. And then here in the late afternoon, it's just really good. But then it gets too cold, and Michael's too cold. And then the next day, next morning, temperature climbs again. So what I'd like to do is package this excess heat, put it in my box, and then here I'll release it again. So I have that box for you. Let me show you. Look, there are some tools, and I realize you got saws and nifty tools in the tool library. Let's put them to use. So you build a box, here a rectangular box. I put little grids on the front and the back, but don't mind my rectangular cutouts. You basically want a round cutout that accommodates a fan, okay? And a lid for that box, and that's what the box looks like. You can give it some nice color, make it and decorate it, have your kids decorate it with little dinosaurs and whatever, flowers. There is no end to your fantasy. So what goes into the box? Well, that's entirely up to you. Let me talk about a few things. At the college, I have 5, 6 of these boxes, and each team of 3 or 4 students puts in something else. All right, so here in the middle, you see a box, the lid is open. What's in it? River rocks, right? So if the room is too warm, there's a little muffin fan here, uses about 2, 3, 4, 5 watts, which is nothing. Hardly worth talking about compared to what we move in terms of thermal energy. It blows the hot air in here, in between these rocks. The rocks heat up and cooler air comes out, right? And in the evening, I take the exact same fan here, turn it back on, and the slightly too cool room air goes in here, encounters these nicely warmed rocks from middle of the afternoon, and warm air comes out, right? So a little electric switch on the fan, whenever I want to have too much thermal energy, I put it in the box. When I need a little more, I let it back out. So here is another option. So what are we talking? River rocks. We're probably talking, I don't know, $5 for that box full of rocks. Carlisle cement is where mine come from. Here is zero cost filling. Water has a really nice heat capacity. And although it says whatever does on, all kinds of things, you drink the water first and then fill it up with tap water. So it's called recycling. No, wait, this is better than recycling. This is reusing, right? Take the old water bottles, fill them with tap water, close them back up tightly, and stack them. And you don't even have to nicely stack them, just fill the box. Story is the same. You blow your air in that's a little too warm. The water inside these bottles warms up and it comes out a little cooler. You reverse the action in the evening. Another suggestion was to use bricks. Broken bricks are even better because they have a larger surface. Some brick fragments, if you go to a site where they tear down a building, you could help them out, take some of the broken bricks away. Or when they're about done with the building site and they have some brick veneer, ask them if you can take away the broken brick. They work perfectly. I had also gravel, so number 2, B2 stones work well. The thing is, what you want in there is something that is non-toxic, non-flammable, has a high heat capacity, allows air to circulate through it without you building shelves and things. And most importantly, and you want something that's dirt cheap, right? $5, $10. Okay, here on the bottom right is my box, and I have actually something else in there. Not bricks, not stones, not river rocks, no water. What I have in there is a PCM. And a PCM, that's the acronym for phase change material. Okay, that's something that is solid, and then a little later it's liquid. I have a graph here on the right, and that can illustrate to you why a phase change material is so much better than what we talked about before. So let's take a material like solid, that would be ice. And then you have ice and water together, and then you have just water. Okay, while you have both together in a bucket, ice and water, that is the phase transition. You go from the solid phase to the liquid phase. Okay, so why is this? You see how long we stay at that same temperature, and the temperature does not go up until everything is liquid, and then the temperature rises again. Here on the bottom, we add heat. Okay, so during a phase transition, the temperature stays the same. What I just mentioned, ice, that phase transition happens at 32 Fahrenheit. Well, that's too cold for my room. I want 71 Fahrenheit. That's my favorite temperature. So I'm going to look for a material that does the phase transition at 71. Why can I store so much more energy in a phase transition? Okay, well, let me show you in the graph here. Let's say you want to raise the temperature by 1 degree. So go from this temperature, this is what, 56 to 57. Okay, how much heat do you need? Okay, oh wait, I can draw here. Do I have a pen? Yes, a pen. Okay, so 56 we had, 57. And so we come down straight here. I'm not making those straight lines here. Okay, so we have to basically put in this much heat to go from 56 to 57. Okay, how about if we want from 70 and a half, that's right here, to 71 and a half, that's right there. See, that's also 1 degree. Half a degree below to half a degree above, 1 degree up. How much heat do I have to put in there? Well, we're starting here and we're ending 71 and a half. And you can see we have to put this much heat, Q is the symbol for heat, right? We have this much heat to go up 1 degree. And that's why there is so much thermal energy stored in a phase transition. So my students call it the Q box because Q is the symbol for heat. Here, the lid is open for my prototype of a Q box. Now, I'll give you an idea. Oh, I should tell you what it is that's in there. That's the big $40,000 question. What's in there is a paraffin. And you can see these are plastic sheets with little blisters. Right now, you can see the paraffin inside through the blister solid. So we are right here somewhere. I close the lid, blow warm air in, and the paraffin melts. I have liquid paraffin. And there's a lot of energy to do that. So we calculated how much thermal energy I can store here. Remember that little red Volkswagen you saw a moment ago? If you take that red Volkswagen, tie it on 4 chains and a steel rope, go up to the 41st floor of a residential high-rise building, bring the cable down and to a winch down here and crank up. And when that Volkswagen is at the 40th floor, you have that much mechanical energy. That's how much heat we're storing in that box. Okay, today you go on the internet and type in PCM, phase change material, panels, slabs, slats, blades, pouches, spheres, tubes, etc. It comes in all varieties. So even as bricks, but these are phase change bricks. Enormous what you can store in a box. You can, let's say you have the children's bedroom is on the northern side of your house where it's a little cool, but you have a nice sun exposure on the southern side of your house. Put wheels under your box, put it over on the sunny side in the evening, roll it over to the kid's bedroom, and there's some extra heat that you can just roll around, and the heat is free. Number 4. Okay, this is my prototype bicycle. So it's just like a regular bicycle. I got it up from the attic in the garage. So the cost of the bicycle was free, $0. Okay, in the tool library, you have lots and lots of bicycle tools. So this is absolutely no issue. I went out and got myself a little kit. You see this black thing here on my front wheel? That is an electric motor, hub motor. Motor is inside here. And then you see a lot of extra cables. The silvery box is a controller that makes pulses and sends it to this brushless hub motor. This blue thing here is a battery. It's a lithium-ion battery. And we're talking about a little more than a Saturday morning, maybe Saturday. If it's your first bike, it may take all Saturday. But I paid for this very kit that you see here in this picture, $150. I built in the meantime 5 e-bikes. The cheapest kit I got was $133, but now the tendency is that they're a little more. And I recently built an e-bike for my wife, and that was about $170 for the entire kit. I have a picture of the kit. This comes, the wheel, you have to put the tire on, but the motor is there, the spokes are there, valve, all that is in. All you got to do is put the tire on. Here is the controller, a scary number of wires coming out. But even if you don't read the user's manual, you know exactly what goes where because they have different plugs for each. You also will have to replace the brakes on the handle because this is here a 500-watt motor, so half a kilowatt. That's quite a bit of power. So you go down the street and all of a sudden there's a car opening a door. You got to stop, pedestrian or something else. That means you really got to stop. So with your old brakes on the bicycle, you would try to stop it, but the motor is so strong, it'll continue despite the fact that you activate front and rear brakes. So in this case, you take your old brakes off and replace them with brakes that have 2 functions. The first function is to operate the cable that's still on your bike. that activates the calipers. And the second one are electric cables. These cables go directly to the controller box. And these plugs, you'll find the other ones over here. And they cut the current to the motor. And so the power of the motor is gone and you're braking your bike as if it's just your bicycle. Okay, notice in yellow I wrote here in the middle, coming in the fall, I'd be happy to host a workshop on building your own e-bike. If we get a group of, I don't know, 5, 10 people together. These are my students when we built this very first e-bike. I'd be happy to come and join you for a Saturday to build e-bikes. Okay, let's move on. Number 5, and someone's keeping track how much money we save. Oh, let's see. We said for the bike, I paid $150. I had some $750 of fun. Okay, closer to home. So the e-bike is for later in the summer. This is a topic that would have been very important at the beginning of the winter. Now we're close to the end of the winter, but it is also good to do it right before the summer. Air infiltration is mean. It is always against you. In the winter, you want a warm house. What comes in from the outside is cold air, and you have to reheat that cold air. It's against you. In the summer, you want a cool house. Outside, it's really hot. It's 98 degrees. What comes in through those cracks and crevices is warm air. And you don't want the extra warm air from outside. So again, summer or winter, air infiltration is always against you. Does it work? I put down here some covers for heating ducts here, just as a reminder for me how we know that air infiltration works. If you have a house that has, for example, forced air heating, so for example, a heat pump or oil gas furnace, and then you heat the air and circulate it through ducts, and then you have these vents on the wall. What is that? It is air infiltration. Well, that is purposeful air infiltration. But does it heat your room? Yes, it does. And that's how we know air infiltration works. The desired kind, it works. Now here we have the not so desired air infiltration when air comes in through crevices in between the windows here, maybe not so much here, but mostly here. Also maybe somewhere around here, seams here. It is good to caulk these places. I wrote down here also just for me as a reminder, what causes air infiltration? Well, gaps around the windows, around the doors, between the double hung windows, gaps under the door, maybe an attic door. But this takes care of number 1. But there's number 2. Another thing that you might not think about, but that causes air infiltration. If you go to your shower, you turn on the fan above the shower. If you go to the bathroom, you might turn on that vent. Well, that vent, or in the kitchen while cooking, that vent is on. That vent takes air from the house and blows it through the duct to the outside, right? Smelly air in the bathroom, greasy air in the kitchen, and moist air in the shower. You want that air outside. But let's say you blow out 2 cubic meters of air. The air is now outside. Those 2 cubic meters of air are missing on the inside. So it gets hard. No, it doesn't get harder to breathe. The house will make sure it pulls 2 cubic meters of cold air in from the outside, and not 1.5 and not 1.8. Eventually, it's going to be the same because the pressure inside and outside will equilibrate. So Another thing is if you have your dryer inside, that duct puts out, I measured it last year, about 84 cubic meters of air. That's a lot of that's a lot of air. So when you have your dryer inside and it blows out that moist air, it should. Your house will, behind your back, pull in 80 cubic meters of cold air, right? And you will have to heat that. So these are two reasons you might not have thought of air infiltration. And I tell my kids if they go to the bathroom, not to forget to turn that fan off again or after the shower, okay? In order to not blow so much of the air-conditioned air outside or of the heated air in the winter outside. Okay, this is still number 5. This could be number 6. Here's something that will save you over the course of the year. If your warm water tank is in the basement and the basement is cool, it is advisable to put a thermal blanket around that. That's not so expensive and you will get your money back. So if you have a Saturday with nothing else to do, that might be a nice Saturday afternoon project. Okay, I just talked about leaky doors. This is an old attic door. It's out of sight, but it leaks warm air 24/7. So if you go to Lowe's or Home Depot or Walmart and buy some insulation foam and a caulking gun, that caulking gun seems to come from the tool library, then you can take care of that and save money. And that means also less electricity for heating or less heating costs, less carbon emission, and it helps save the planet. Okay, this is from last summer. It was, we had some really hot days. I gotta quickly look. Oh, we're good in time. So we had some really hot days. And when you're out on a very hot day, what happens? You start to sweat, right? Because then the sweat evaporates and you have evaporative cooling and the human body works better then. Well, that's great. It's great that we can sweat and cool down this way, but my air conditioner can't do that. So I thought I should help it out a bit. This is the heat pump in the summer. And I went online and got a nozzle kit. I spent $10.48 on that. It came with 10 very nicely made nozzles. And it came with T-connectors, a lot of hose, and a connector. See, this connects right to the garden hose with a quick connect. Everything you need. I went to the shop, cut out a couple, what's it, 1/2" by 1/2" stakes, put them in the ground, and here, nozzle. It's fun to put that together. And then the hose goes from a T here, next nozzle, on and on. I went to both heat pumps, and in the picture, it sounds like this is a very strong spray, but what you want to do is close those nozzles down to as little as possible. The spray coming out of those nozzles should be just something like, you need no more. Actually, in fact, if you have too much water coming out, the ground around the air conditioning unit will get soggy. So what I'm going to do this year is I am going to interface that to the electronic control circuit and have a little valve, electric valve, that only opens the water when the air conditioning is on. Last summer, I had it on for like the hottest portion of the day. Okay, saving quite a bit of money. I think we made it way past our $100, right, Sarah? We're around $300 or $400. Okay, and the hour's not over. Let's go and see. Oh, talking about the outside air conditioner. Here is something. What not to do. Your home builder store might advertise a little fancy grid that you can put around that air conditioning unit. Now, it's on sale. But that's not a you want to walk around that sail. You want to walk actually away, directly away from that sail. Because what does it do? It reduces the airflow. Look at the openings versus the grid. It reduces the airflow by, if I look at this grid, more than 50%. That means it reduces the efficiency of the heat pump or the air conditioner. And that means for the inefficiency, you have to pay. So it's not just the material cost, $20, and an afternoon of labor, that's nothing. But what you pay monthly, so the cost to the homeowner, is something you just want to walk away from. And also, this is a cost, unnecessary cost to the planet. I thought I'd throw this in as an example for what not to do to save you money. Okay, finally we come to number 7. This is my baby on the roof of the Tome Science building. It's called a solar air heater. What is a solar air heater? It is a device that converts solar energy directly into thermal energy. So it's a device, I have it on a rack here, but it would go on the side, southern facing side of your house. The cold room air goes in, goes through this box, and comes back as warm air back into your room. So if the sun is here, the amount of power we get from the sun, power of the sun, is in Carlisle about 1,000 watts per square meter. If you have sunshine, no clouds. I have measured as much as 1,100 watts on the roof of Tome, maybe 1,150 even. If it's a little hazy, it might be only 900, 700 watts per square meter. But order of magnitude, about 1,000 watts per square meter. This solar collector that you see right here, here, I'm off the mouse here. This here is about 2.5 square meters. So 1,000 watts per square meter. I have incoming an amount of 1,000 times 2.5, 2,500 2,500 watts. This is not 100% efficient, but it is more than 80% efficient. And so what I extract from the 2,500 watts is 2,000 watts, right? And this is 2,000 watts heating the room. These are 2,000 watts free. Free heating. Free. I should have used a different color for that. All right. So this is how the tool library is the perfect place. I have not been there. I would love to come by and check it out. But you have a shop, and I built these solar air heaters with my students regularly. Here is one on a house that uses gutter downspouts. Here is one that uses soda cans, one after another. Someone was very, very patient of cutting the bottom and the lid off of each soda cans, putting in here, and the air goes through here. Here is a window box, and here is one. This would be my first choice here. This is the duct, the aluminum duct for a dryer. You go to Home Depot or Lowe's, buy a piece of duct, put it in a box, and you're done. This, of course, is reusing. You're reusing old soda cans. Yes, you're a little more environmentally friendly, but in terms of effectiveness, this would be my way to go here. A few years ago, I patented one of my solar air heaters. I'm going to tell you the secrets. It turns out this, in terms of conversion efficiency, it came in as, I don't know, one of the top 5 or 6 on the planet, with just a little over 85% conversion efficiency. And so this blue thing, imagine that's just the wooden box, and then we have some polyiso insulation around that. Inside, here's the secret. I have window screen, aluminum screen. These are like a screen door or the mosquito grid outside of your window. Okay, Lowe's, Home Depot sells it by the roll. And what I did is the following. The sun shines in and heats up this mosquito grid. I want to transfer that heat to the air that's going through. So I want a lot of contact of the cold air going in here with that hot grid. So I went ahead and took my grid, and you can see it here in this side view, and I corrugated, folded it up, down, up, down, up, down. So here the cold air comes in. It has to go through the grid. There's no other way. And it picks up thermal energy here. It moves under here. There's no other way. It has to go through the grid again and picks up thermal energy. It's now hotter. And it goes through and has to go through the grid one more time and picks up more thermal energy. By now I should change my pen into, where's my pen? There. By now, yeah, this is now red, and out comes hot air. Okay, so the principle of the solar air heater is very simple. Hardly anything simpler than that. You build a box, you put in an absorber that absorbs the solar energy. You put a glazing on top. That glazing, the cheapest place for glazing in the entire United States is in Chambersburg. So close to home. Put the glazing on top, but this is a double glazing. Blow with a 5 or 10 watt muffin fan from your old computer. Blow the air through there and warm air comes out. Okay. And here is my solar air heater team. We tried to outdo ourselves and build a new design of solar air heater. And we worked all summer long, constructing, calculating, building more. And this is it. And we were so excited. We put it up on the roof of the Tone building, and we expected more than 86%. We only got 80, and we were very disappointed. So don't build this one, but build this one that is patented right here. And so this ends this. I don't want to keep the annotations here. This ends the first part. We have 12 minutes. We're way over our $100 already. We have 12 minutes left. I would like to take you quickly to the website, how to switch you to wind energy.
May I just jump in with one
Yes.
quick question before you do that? So one person has asked if it's possible to have someone make an e-bike for them. They're interested in the possibility of a workshop, but in case they're not able to attend the workshop that day, or they're not able to do it themselves, is there any way to buy an e-bike already?
Yes, I had 2 students who would be happy to build it, but they both graduated. And one of the students is in Georgia, the country, and the other student, I don't know where she went to, but they could easily do it. And these days you can buy an e-bike completely assembled for somewhere between like $450, $475, $500, $600. Right, $600, $650, somewhere in that range. A smaller bike, you can also get them that fold together and fit in your trunk. I should point that out, I ride my bike to work. I have a 5.1 mile run between the house and the college, and it cost me 2 cents to recharge that battery. So if I drive that with a car, it's about $2.50. With the e-bike, enjoying nature because I go along the Littor Trail. It's fantastic. It lifts my spirits, and I'm ready for class, and I spent 2 cents. And since our house is powered 100% by wind energy, those 2 cents come from wind energy. So if we can go through that PA power switch and leave maybe 5 minutes at the end for questions, or 10 minutes.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, there are a few more questions for you here, but go ahead and walk us through the PA power switch.
Okay.
And yeah.
All right, let me go and load that up. All right, I will share Google. Okay, can everyone see that? So you have nothing up in there, right? So we're going to start from scratch. You see your home screen. So we go and type in here, PA power switch.com, return. And there is our site. My computer's a little slow today. I'll put in my zip code. I'll put in your zip code, 17013. We want to do this for Carlisle. Go, and here we are. So let's say MedEd or PPNL. I don't know what your utility is. How about PPL? PPNL. See full results. Oh, look, we have 185 offers. Well, that doesn't mean much. 168 fixed. 13 variable. We don't want those. Okay, so lots of offers. We're going to go see full results. I'm going to put in right now is about 3,000 kilowatt hours. We want to sort not Z to A, but low to high. I want absolutely a fixed price. And then I scroll down here and click renewable. No, not renewable PA. I just want renewable energy. Renewable energy, right? That's good. If you want renewable PA, that's here, or PA wind. That will be a little more expensive. Solar is more expensive. I just go renewable energy. The planet loves that. So that's it. And then we go up here to the very top. And what comes up first at the in this pale green field is your utility, PPL Electric. That's what we selected. At the moment, you're paying 7.317 cents, 7.3 cents. And for 3,000 kilowatt hours, that bill is 219. Now you can scroll down. And what appears now is we sorted low to high. So this is, if you look here, 100% renewable energy. Unfortunately, only a 3-month contract. But you see, it took me 3-4 minutes to do this. I'm happy to switch again in 3 or 4 minutes and spend 3-4 minutes to switch in 3 months. The only thing is you have to put that date on your calendar. If you don't have it on your calendar, they can put you on a variable day-to-day varying rate, and that's not what you want. So if you look at the next era, comes in number second, 143. We're talking 129 to 219. That's exactly $90. Okay, and then you click on Clean Sky Energy or call the number and tell them when you want to start their energy. So sometimes if this is too short for you, you scroll down. We have a total of 57 renewable energy offers, but only like the top 40 will be cheaper than PP&L, and then they become more expensive. So this is good too, but also why would I want to pay 47 if I get 43? So I clicked on that one, 52, 59. It's still cheaper because 179 is still way better than 219. See, the prices go up, still better, still better, still better. And as I said before, I switch often. Look at this one is higher. Clean Sky Energy is my company, but it's a 6-month contract, and that's why it's a little higher. I will switch again in 3 months and look how much better my deal is. 180, and I'm paying 129. So that's $50 better. For $50, I'm going to spend 5 minutes and switch. Okay, I'm going to end it right there. Stop sharing. And if you have some questions. I'll
We have
try
quite
to
a few
answer those.
questions. Yeah, we have a couple
Yeah.
questions for you. There are a couple on the chat, but I'm actually just going to ask, oh, and there's one that just came in that's kind of along the same lines. But since you've been talking a lot about renewable energy, I was hoping to ask if you could maybe explain briefly, how does wind energy get to our house and where is it being produced? And kind of what are the differences then between solar and wind energy when you're looking at this site? Is there a difference there?
Right. Okay. So what happens to me frequently is I have these students that say, well, Professor Pfister, I don't see a wind turbine in your backyard. And I say, that's true. I don't have a wind turbine in my backyard. Right now, my wind turbines are in Texas. Last month, before I did this new contract, February 6th, my wind turbines were in Oklahoma. And before that, I had wind turbines in upstate New York, and I had wind turbines in Virginia, depending on what contract I have. So how does that work? Let me give you an analogy. Okay, let's assume you have a hydropower plant. So there is the lake, and the front of the lake is a wall, and the water goes down here through the turbine and so forth. So here we have all that water stored up. Now, there are two tributaries. One tributary right behind the wall, and another tributary 2 miles back, around the mountain. Okay. This first tributary behind the wall puts in 300 gallons a minute. The one 2 miles back there, far away and around the corner, puts in 300 gallons a minute. Which one of those two tributaries puts in more water into the lake behind the dam? They both put in 300 gallons a minute. So they both raise the water level. It doesn't matter where this tributary is. That little stream right behind the wall does the same job as the one 2 miles back behind the mountain. Not behind, but around the mountain, right? And it's the same for the electricity. The tributary behind the wall would be the wind turbine in my backyard. And that tributary 2 miles around the mountain, down the valley there, that would be the wind turbine in Oklahoma. Okay, so my wind turbine is further away. It raises the power level. So what happens in reality? I don't get the electrons from Texas, right? Someone uses that higher potential in the grid near the wind turbine, and I'm using the electricity here, but I'm paying for 3,000 kilowatt hours of wind energy. They put it in there, I take it out here. So the electric grid makes that work. I hope that helps. That the comparison to that lake behind the dam, tributaries contribute. It doesn't matter where it is.
I thought that was very clear. Thank you. Thank you. One more question, just kind of as a follow-up to that, just because I'm kind of curious to hear your thoughts on this. Due to the recent storms in Texas, of course, lost power, large areas of Texas lost power. What are your responses to people who may say that was because of renewable energy or wind turbines? So of course the news and other people have come out and said, obviously that's not true, but I was just kind of hoping you could give a response to that as well.
Yeah, no. The issue is what Texas did. As you know, most of the US is all part on a grid, but Texas has its own grid, right? And so it's hard to get electricity outside of the state line of Texas in or out. And I think that was just a little short-sighted. A very simple reason that indicates why it can't be the wind. By the way, the wind turbines run summer, winter, rain. It doesn't matter. Actually, if it's too windy, we slow them down. Okay, so the decision, Texas should have made sure that if in the eventuality that they have a flood, hurricane, winter in February, something that they have ways to mitigate that. So if this power plant goes down, then these two can take over. So they need a little extra reserves in the grid. The smart thing to do would be to connect it to the rest of the US. What we have to do in the future is we depend a lot on the grid. So in terms of wind energy, we always talk about Saudi Arabia as being the richest country on the planet in terms of oil and oil reserves, right? Well, in terms of wind, we lucked out. In terms of wind, we are one of the richest countries on the planet. And if you look on a map, if the Rockies are right here, on the eastern flanks of the Rockies, we have so much wind energy that it easily could supply the energy demands for the entire US, easily. We don't even have to go offshore. Now, the question is, how do we get the energy from the eastern flanks of the Rockies to the coastal areas where we have more population density, right? And that means we need a new grid. The grid that we have at the moment worked fantastically in the 60s, 70s, 80s, but now the climate is a little warmer. We need more electricity. We have more gadgets, gizmos. Our electric demand is higher. And we also want to have now electric cars soon. So we need an update on the grid. So this is good news for our students, so they can put their heads together, and all of us, we can think about a new power grid. Not a new one, but an updated. Yeah, needs a new facelift here.
Excellent, thank you. And I know we're running a little bit over, but there are a few more questions. I'm going to pose them to you, I think, as one question, but they're just really good questions. So I think you'll appreciate them. And then this will be the end of the program. But the last question here, it's kind of three parts. So the first part of this is, what kind of carbon emissions result from the manufacturing of LED bulbs? Do you know if the manufacturing process is any more or less carbon efficient than the manufacturing of incandescent bulbs, just the manufacturing itself? And then as a follow-up to those first two questions, generally when considering energy efficiency and carbon emissions, how often is the manufacturing of the green technology itself taken into account?
Okay, that is a fantastic questions. Okay, let's go to the light bulb first. The light bulb, I mentioned before that we can buy light bulbs for about $1. And so how much energy goes into the manufacturing of a light bulb? I think we can figure that out if we search for what's the cheapest light bulb on the planet. A big company that manufactures gazillions of LEDs, what's the lowest price they're willing to sell it to us? Because then they can make it for less, because they still want to make money. So just yesterday, I happened to search, and I sent you some pictures from there. There was a company in China where if we buy, what was 1,000, we would get 10,000 LEDs for $1,000. That means 10 cents per LED, right? So this is the lowest I could find anywhere on the entire World Wide Web, 10 cents an LED, which means they manufacture it probably for between 5 and 8 cents. Otherwise, they wouldn't sell 10,000 for 10 cents if they wouldn't make money in the process, and then there must be shipping and all that. So the manufacturing, the fact that you can manufacture an LED for 5 to 8 cents gives you an idea for how much energy is in there. I mean, energy in terms of material, making it, the globe is no longer glass. You don't need high temperatures for glass blowing and all that. It's just plastic. The circuitry, I mean, I'm amazed to take one apart and realize that all that is just maybe 5 to 8 cents. Okay, so that gives you an idea for how much. And so clearly not $2 of energy have gone into manufacturing the light bulb, right? It must be, there's material, but we put that in there too. So 5 cents, I'd say. Wait, there's salaries for the people who make them. So it's less than 5 cents per light bulb. Now, now we have, okay, this is good. Let's keep even if we save 10 cents. Let's put the 10 cents here. Now we got to look on the other side, how much energy do we save? And the amount of energy we save is, this is an enormous amount of kilowatt hours over its lifetime, but worth $150. So we're talking at 10 cents, maybe 1,500 kilowatt hours. That's how much is being saved by having the investment. So even if we say 5 or 10 cents, this is nothing compared to $250. Okay, so the other question was, can you remind me again? I got so sidetracked here.
That's okay. No, it was a lot to answer. So the second part of it is, generally when considering energy efficiency and carbon emissions,
yeah,
how often is the manufacturing of green technology taken into account? So basically like the life cycle of the,
right.
Yeah.
Often not, right? Often. So my students sometimes have ideas to build gadgets that save CO2 emissions. Like they came to me and said, oh, if we take this dance studio and people are hopping on this floor and we take the energy out of the vibrating floor and make electricity out of it. I said, well, that's great. But let's figure out how much it would cost to build generator sensors that extract that energy and turn it into usable energy. And very quickly, you'll find that the equipment to extract that energy costs far more than what you extract. It's just the opposite with the light bulb. In the light bulb, 5 cents in, $150 saved out. That is what we are looking for. In the case of that dance floor, you spend $150 in equipment and get 20 cents of electricity out of it. That's not good. So in terms of a wind turbine, is it better to have wind turbines or nuclear power plants, or wind turbines or coal-fired power plants? What we have to do is look how much goes into it to produce 1 kilowatt hour of electricity. And then we can compare that. Okay, so what goes into a wind turbine will cost about $1 million, right? One of those large wind turbines, Enercon, easily $1 million. So will the electric company or the owner of the wind farm get that money back? Absolutely. Many times over. Otherwise, they wouldn't invest in the wind farm and put up these gigantic wind turbines. And I think we have to do those calculations. One thing that we often forget is how much CO2 is emitted in the manufacturing of concrete to make that cement. And when I was in China, I saw these ghost cities. They had high-rise buildings, 30, 40 stories high. No windows in yet because they couldn't sell the units. People couldn't afford them. And so eventually they were ghost towns. And they spend tons and tons and tons of making that concrete with lots of emission. And now it's wasted, right? So we got to be very careful. And there was one more question after that, right? You're muted.
There we go. Sorry about that. That was the last of those 3 questions. There's one more question in the chat if you want to respond to it. We have a few more minutes. I know we both have something after this, so can't hang out too long. And I want to be respectful of your time. But just briefly, what types of energy are included, I'm sorry, in the renewable energy percentages that you were showing earlier?
In the renewable energy percentages.
Yeah, I believe that's referring maybe to the power switch.
The power switch. Oh, that is mostly wind energy.
Mostly.
It used to be energy credits, but right now we're actually getting wind energy. And see, that's again an indication. We can get wind energy now. You saw my rate, 3.57 cents. So it is cheaper than 3.57 cents for that wind turbine to produce a kilowatt hour of electricity, because the owner of the wind farm wants to make money. The brokerage company that buys the wind energy and sells it to me, they want to make money, right? So it must, and I'm paying only 3.57 cents, so they must make it for less than that at the front end. Now, no coal-fired power plant or oil-fired power plant is able to compete with that. And I mean, this is one of my pet peeves here. I couldn't believe that there is something like that, but we subsidize oil wells that run a little low. They are called oil well, what do you call it? I forgot the name now. If your oil rig produces less, oil depletion subsidy. You know, someone figured out, hey, we could have a law that the government pays us tax because the pays us amount because the oil well depletion subsidy. I think that, and we need that for oil, but we don't need that for wind, right? So I would be in favor of a fair playing field, and let's subsidies are good for new technologies at the beginning, but they all have to be phased out.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much for this wonderful workshop.
I stayed away from politics. I focused on the money saved.
Yes, yes. And that's a really great point as well, you know, as you're very fond of saying, there's a triple win effect, right? When you switch to renewable energy, or when you take steps to live a more sustainable life, right? So
I win and you win and we all win.
And the planet wins and your wallet wins. Yeah. Excellent.
And this is true for the deal with the wind company. I'm happy that the manufacturing people that make the wind turbines, they make money. That's great. The transport companies that move the wind turbines out, they make money. That's great. The people that erect the wind turbine, they make money. That's great. The farm owner makes money. That's great. The brokerage firm makes money. That's also great. And I save a lot of money. So all of these people or all these groups involved, you come out ahead and the earth comes out ahead. And that is really a win-win-win-win-win situation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, on that note, thank you so much for this lovely workshop. We look forward to hosting a workshop with you in the future on e-bikes, or we'll see what we're able to do.
Prior to COVID, I hosted regular workshops at the college on Saturday mornings to build solar air heaters, to build Q boxes, and I'd be happy also to do an e-bike workshop.
Awesome.
Okay,
well, we're looking
so let's wait till after COVID. It'll be here before we know it.
Yes, well, I'll get vaccinated and then we'll have the workshop. Well, excellent. Okay. Well, thank you again, and everyone watching at home, stay tuned for more from the GreenTools series.
All right. Thanks so much.